Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So good morning. Welcome to another market open. And today the big headline story is oil. Is oil about to hit $300 a barrel? That would be unthinkable. But maybe it is heading there. So let's talk about what may be driving oil even higher. And also, maybe it's time to look at some of these ETF stocks that are set to explode. So, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on social media, especially TikTok, because I will be posting a ton of videos today on TikTok. And also, check out all the latest news, article, and guides at CryptosRUs.com. Welcome. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. So, you look at the U.S. markets, Dow, S&P, NASDAQ, about even. Yesterday was horrendous. Dow was down 800 points. NASDAQ was down 500 points. But overall, Bitcoin was holding well. Bitcoin was holding, right around 38,000, a little bit above 38 this morning. It's about 38. It's about 39, a little bit under. So, you can see now things have turned green, right? So yesterday, of course, Bitcoin, I've talked about last night. There's a big executive order that's about to be signed by President Biden, which is why it all of a sudden dropped and then recovered. But right now, Bitcoin is looking stronger as it tries to decouple away from NASDAQ and from tech. So that is fantastic. Now, what isn't fantastic, unless you are an oil stock ETF holder or a futures holder, is this. Oil has gone up even more. Another 4.5% at 125. Remember, many estimated that oil could go up to as high as 150. But now there's numbers thrown out that it could go as high as 300. Remember, when oil hits 150, overall, not only is it really bad for consumers and industry, I can't even imagine how high gasoline prices will be at in the next few months. Maybe we're going to see $10 a gallon in California, and probably $12, $15, $20 in Europe. But average consumer is going to start spending less. Manufacturing and travel, hospitality industry is going to be affected. I mean, CPI numbers are going to be absolutely disastrous. And that's oil at 150, but 300, where is this coming from? Well, it's coming from Russia. Russia is warning the entire world, if you start rejecting our oil, a barrel of oil is going to head to 300. And maybe he's telling the truth. But it does seem like Russia is very threatened by this, as they should be, because they're the third largest exporter of oil. But they're threatening to cut off European gas if this happens. Okay? Europe gets 40% of its gas from Russia. 40%. So if Russia cuts off that Nord Stream pipeline and all the other pipeline going to Europe, well, it's going to get awfully cold pretty soon. But yeah, so Russia is very threatened right now. Like I said, all the sanctions that have been placed so far definitely had effect on the oligarchs, had effect on the citizens of Russia. But as for the country itself, as for hurting Putin, right, this is it's kind of like the last resort. And the SWIFT ban is also coming. I want to mention that. So it's going to hurt banks, but it hasn't happened yet. So this just came out. Basically, the U.S., Biden is going to announce pretty soon, as soon as maybe even today, that the U.S. will no longer be buying Russian oil. Okay? And even companies like Shell apologized, because recently they caught a lot of slack for saying, They bought 100,000 metric tons of oil from Russia at discount bargain prices, pennies on the dollar. Okay, but they vow now never again. They made a mistake. The PR was just absolutely horrendous, so they are going to be stopping anyways. But the U.S. as a whole will be reporting soon that we will be cutting off Russian oil from U.S. grounds. But here's the thing. U.S. does not really depend on Russian oil or natural gas. In fact, only 3% of American oil is from Russia. 3%. But that can't be said about Europe and their reliance on gas. So I found this. Top 10 oil producers. And here's the funny thing. You would think that the Middle East or Russia is the top oil producers. No, but the United States is actually the top oil producer by a large margin. Yet we don't use any of that oil for ourselves. If we did, we could have like $1 per gallon, at the pump if we wanted to. But no, we are the largest producer. Yet we just don't use it. We just reserve it for military. But Saudi Arabia, part of OPEC, and then you got Russia, and then Canada, and everyone else behind it, right? So, bottom line is this third Russia is enormous, and many people depend on it. And as for natural gas, well, like I said, Europe depends 40% of its natural gas from Russia. So if Russia really does cut off, especially like Germany, which is really, really dependent, and France and Austria and many others are really dependent, well, that means prices will be skyrocketing. Okay, it'll be like really, really skyrocketing in the future, and you know what? Overall, it's just not good for economies. Okay, but it's gonna hurt Russia more. It's gonna hurt Russia more if these things are cut off. But it will hurt a lot of Europeans. That's for sure. That's for sure. But nowhere near as bad as what's going on in Ukraine right now. Right, over 2 million refugees. I heard something about like another 500,000 just came out and heading to Poland. So it's still a very, very bad situation. A lot of people are very uneasy at this point, right? So people are trying to figure out next move. Now, what's positive about this whole thing is now China finally decided to say something about this. Okay, so President Xi called for maximum restraint, saying that it pains him to see flames of war reignited in Europe, but hopefully, this comes to an end soon. Actually, he didn't say that last part, but he's implying it. He's implying Russia restraint and minimizing what they're doing, and hopefully this does come to an end soon. But it does seem like China is biting their tongue right now because we know that they're kind of allied with Russia, but they don't like to see what's happening either. So that's the bottom line. So maybe China can sway Russia to back off, or maybe this is all a ploy after Ukraine is taken over. Then China steps in and says, okay, we convinced Russia to stop after the invasion that's already complete. That's been theorized too. So there's just a lot of talk out there. All right, anyways. So that's the big story of the day. Oil is going higher and higher and higher and higher, right? So it got me to think, well, if oil is heading higher, right? It has been heading higher. And if oil really gets to $300 a barrel, well, how do you take advantage of it, right? Oh, market bell. There we go. Well, Dow opens in the green, plus 68. NASDAQ opens in the red. And Bitcoin, it's the same place. All right. So going back to my original, my thought about how do you take advantage of oil? Well, I think some of you guys already caught onto this. Well, there are plenty of ETFs out there. Okay, the biggest one is USO, US Oil Fund. And if you look at a last 1 month performance since this war started, about roughly 2 weeks ago, a little bit over, you can see USO has gone up 32%. And if oil continues to go up, this will continue to go up. So it does seem like this stock, this ETF, will continue to go up as long as the war is happening. And now keep in mind, we didn't officially get, the U.S. cutting off oil, which is not that impactful anyways. But if the U.S. does it, guess who's going to follow? The U.K. is going to follow. And then if UK does it, who else is going to follow? Maybe, NATO is forced. NATO nations or EU nations are forced to comply too and stop buying oil from Russia. And then maybe that $300 a barrel becomes reality. And if that becomes reality, this is going to double or triple, in my opinion, right? This is definitely going to go a lot higher. So this ETF has done really well, and it'll probably continue to do well. And there is another one. There's actually a ton of oil ETFs, but these are the biggest. But the USO is the biggest. And then you have the ProShares Ultra Crude Oil, which is moving at a 2x rate. So this is kind of like a lot of you guys know of leverage tokens, right? This is what it is, a leverage ETF. And if you look at the 1 month performance, 62%, 62.7%. So definitely stocking up on oil ETFs are not a bad idea at this point. And they probably will continue higher and head much higher as more restrictions and bans and sanctions are placed. And what's funny is, well, it's not funny, but what goes along with this is wheat. Russia's one of the largest exports of wheat too. So if you look at the last month performance of wheat was up 65%. It came down a little bit today, about now down to about 54%. But price of wheat has also gone up, and many people are taking advantage. In fact, this fund, I just found this fund this morning. It seems like they ran out of shares because so many people were looking at buying this ETF. They actually ran out of shares, but maybe they opened some more up today, which is why it's actually opening the red today. But that has also done very, 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 very well. It got me thinking too, what else could be doing well? I was thinking about, what about that Van Eyck Russia ETF, right? The one that has been dropping and dropping and dropping. And I was thinking, okay, maybe shorting this would be a good idea, except that I just found out all Russian ETFs were halted indefinitely for regulatory concern. If it was not halted, it'd probably be at zero already. So you can't play into any of these Russian ETFs if you wanted to short them or buy inverse ETF. Just not available. So it does seem like right now, if you want to take advantage of the war, of rising oil prices, right? It does seem like the oil ETFs are the smart way to go about that, rather than trying to buy futures, which is a lot more riskier, and no one wants to actually take actual oil home with them, right? So the ETF seems the most logical way to play this. Outside of those things, just a few other events going on. Apple is going to have their big event. What is going to be launched today? Apple iPhone 13 Plus or 14. I thought they just released 13. So I don't know what, budget iPhone, new iPads or whatever. Obviously, Apple stopped selling in Russia, but who knows what's going to come out from here. And then, you guys know I'm a big Lego fan. I just happened to see this headline. Lego revenue jumped 27% in 2021 as kids and adults continue to build. I mean, that's no surprise. They have some terrific sets, but also a lot of people were still stuck at home, so they had to do something. and it just so happened to report it. Well, I mean, they're not a public trade company. They're a private company. But anyways, just thought I'd bring that up. All right, that's pretty much it with what's going on this morning. If you're looking at crypto, though, you know, not a whole lot of movement. Not a whole lot of movement. You know, some, very little in the green, mostly in red because of yesterday. But I do expect that this list could turn green anytime now. I still think Bitcoin is the solution, is the answer, and more will come to recognize that as time goes on. All right, that's it. Let's do some Q&A. Wheat, copper, nickel, oil is irrelevant. Why is it irrelevant? Let's see. Not accurate, not by a long shot. You guys looking at this? This is data from Bloomberg for 2020. So unless it drastically changed in 2021, you know, I think this is still pretty accurate. Anyways, according to this, 3% of imported oil is from Russia, at least for the U.S. Yeah, I was thinking too, another way to take advantage of course, high oil price, which is going to lead to high gasoline price, is to look at EV cars, right? And I've been talking a lot about Tesla, but you know, but cars is different. You know, cost of manufacturing, the supply, aluminum, all that stuff is getting more expensive. There are still supply strains with chips, labor force. You know, even though it's strong, but it's still very competitive right now. Rates are going up, wages are going up, right? So from a car manufacturer perspective, an EV car manufacturer perspective, I think something like Tesla is still going to do very well in the future, but short term, probably not that well. I'm just curious, what is Tesla right now? You know, Tesla fell yesterday. Fell a little bit more, under 800 once again. Yeah, 1 month hasn't been so good. 3 months haven't been so good. Man, Tesla peaked at 1100. No, even higher. Wow. They peaked at 1229. Wow. We use all of for our military complex, we need oil. Right now, nickels go screw chips and batteries. We need OPEC to produce more oil. Yeah, OPEC already said. They just had a meeting, I think, yeah, late last week. And, you know, even though Russia's not part of OPEC, they work with OPEC and basically convince them not to increase the production of oil. If they said they were, then that would offset things, but it seems like they are not. But you know, you got to figure, if oil gets this expensive, right, it's in OPEC's best interest to start producing more oil because you could get more profits from it, right? So at some point, you figure if we're getting close to 200, they'll probably declare that they go produce more oil. But then, you know, there's a lag. It's not like you could just produce, you know, 100 million barrels of oil overnight. It takes time for them to scale up and down. So it'll be interesting how that plays out. Doug says, why doesn't the U.S. immediately increase oil and gas production? We're already the highest on the planet. It's just that we save it for ourselves. We save it for military. We don't actually use our own, unless that's changed over last year. But that has always been the case. We basically keep all of our oil and we save it for military. Stefan says, I asked about Lucky Block. Don't you think lottery system set on the blockchain would be awesome? No. Don't run a lottery. Running a lottery by the people, I think, is a horrible idea. Okay? Because you know that the founders eventually go rug pull and take all that money. And so you can't trust that. You can't trust. That's just too much money for people that are looking to set that up. So I would say no. U.S. is the biggest exporter of oil under Trump administration. All right, since there's a lot of supposed facts thrown around, I'm gonna have to do some research and see if that's actually true. George, is Charles' education lies hurting Cardano? I don't know. You tell me. I just broke that story out last night, okay? So is it really hurting Cardano? No. Is it a bad look for Charles? Yes. But I don't think it's going to hurt Cardano. There's plenty of projects, plenty of companies founded by people that have no higher education. It's just the fact that he claimed he did, so I don't know. Just, it doesn't look good on, I guess, his reputation. But maybe he explain it. You know, he hasn't responded to it, so maybe there is some explanation. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt for now. Sweepstakes and lotteries are heavily regulated. Yes. The only reason why, and I know this is not true anymore, but the only reason why states are allowed to run lotteries is because 50% of that goes towards education and other government funding, right? You can probably argue that that's not the case, but that's at least the reason given, which is why states allow it. Of course, states are desperate for money, but they are heavily regulated. Okay, at least there's that. At least it's very regulated, so you don't have shenanigans going on, right? Where in a blockchain world, and all these projects, and there's already lottery systems out there. You know, you can't trust any of these guys, these anonymous founders that just start something. And then let's say, imagine they collect $1 billion worth of tickets and is about to reward it. Are they really going to reward it, or to go keep $1 billion to themselves, right? It's like, for lotteries, I just don't trust. Too much temptation. I mirrored a market open cash register. You missed it. You missed it by 15 minutes. Can you look into all F1 sponsors? Daniel, what does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? Thoughts on Andre quitting all crypto projects? I don't know. You know, Phantom will recover and do just fine, but I don't know why he's quitting. If he's going to move on to something better, or just too much pressure, or what? He was threatened. Maybe he wants to be a humanitarian. I'm sure he made enough money already. Maybe he wants to just go help out in Europe. I don't know. No one knows. It's all speculation at this point. But Phantom will do just fine. Scotty, I appreciate that. Could he have gotten the SEC letter and quit? Maybe. You know, DJ, that's an interesting thought. Maybe, you know, the SEC was go sue him, and then he doesn't want to deal with, you know, year-long battles, and then you just go, you know, he thinks it's better to just leave. I don't know, maybe. Who knows? StormX. StormX is interesting. I just don't know who uses it. You know, it's a rewards app, and I've talked to... what's his name? I talked to the founder before. Young guy, ambitious, really working to grow StormX. It's a rewards app. You get rewarded in crypto if you pay for if you buy things through it. And they have a deal with Portland Trail Blazers, but you know, I just don't think a lot of people use them. FJB. I don't know what FJB is. Do you think it's reasonable that oil can reach the 300 by next year? I don't know. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know what the limits are. Like, what has been the top during some of the wars that we have seen? You know, I don't have that data. Let's look at this. Let's look at USO, all-time high. So we're at percentages, dollar-wise. Well, wow, I don't know what happened here. Back in 2008, USO hit 850. And then since then, it's been down. So was oil really that expensive in 2008? Yeah, I'm going to do more research. Yeah, I'm going to start looking up some of these historical facts about oil and how high it's gotten in the past and how much it has affected economies, right? But right now, it does seem like oil is going to continue to go higher. Once U.S. announces a complete oil ban, which isn't a big deal because we only import 3% from Russia, but this is going to set precedents for everyone else to follow, right? UK and other members of the EU will probably follow. And if that happens, Russia's going to get really pissed off. They go threaten to cut off, natural gas for Europe, and yeah, it's probably gonna escalate. Well, the U.S. markets are turning green, so that's good. Buy an electric car at Kamala. When I was in San Diego, I saw this tiny little car. It was a one-seater EV. And inside was so-so, but the car was, it's one of those commuters that you could basically park anywhere. But I asked for the price, and they said it was like $18,000. So it wasn't really a bargain. I forgot the name of it. Is it Kamala? No, it wasn't a toy car. It was like a full-sized daily commuter car. I never heard of them before, but I took pictures. Where's my phone? Shoot, I lost my phone. But yeah, let's go look it up. I totally forgot about it until someone mentioned it. All right. Anything else? Yes, oil was very high in 2008. At that point, Canadian dollar was higher than the U.S. at the same time. I remember that. I remember back in the day when I visited Canada and Canadian dollar was higher. That was a weird time. Get a Maverick hybrid. Hybrids are just not the same as EV. Hybrid, I'm no fan of hybrids. I think if you're a manufacturer, just go pure EV, and then also leave some gas powered cars around. But hybrids just make it worse on both accounts. degrades the driving experience, and the fuel economy isn't that much better. So it's like the worst of both worlds. So really, you should just either go pure EV or just stick with ICE cars, or have a combination of both, right? And I think that's kind of like what Ford is doing, because Ford really doesn't have any hybrids at this point. They're just going pure EV or just sticking with their ICE. I think that's the best strategy. Hybrids don't make a lot of sense. They never did. Dan. I'm not I'm not even going to respond to that. Love from Philippines. Welcome. Eduardo, growth in my portfolio, altcoin heavy, BDC light. How do I determine if to adjust my DCA or sell some alts? There's no scientific formula that will help you determine it, Eduardo. You just have to figure it out. Do you want to be heavier in Bitcoin right now? If so, DCA more into Bitcoin. Or you could sell some of your alts, the winners, and buy BDC, right? So there's no right or wrong answer. I still feel like if you do 50, 25, 25 is a good strategy. The car was a Fiat 500. No. I know what a Fiat 500 is. This was an unknown car company that was a one-seater, not a two-seater, a one-seater, and had a tiny little trunk, but it had, it had a roof. It wasn't, I forgot the company, where it's like an open top thing. It's not like that. It was actually like a small little car. I wonder. Man, look at this. USO's up almost 6% now, right? So this is not going to stop. I mean, unless the war stops, this is not going to stop. Now it's up 35%. And then you look at ProShares Ultra, it's up 8% today. And up 69%, almost 70% within the last month. Man, if oil continues to go up, it's going to be very bad for consumers and industry, but very good for ETF holders, unless you're on the short side, which would be not smart. But then again, there's a risk, right? There's a risk. What if the war does end tomorrow? Or what if it does end next week, right? And then oil will come back down, and these stocks will get killed too. So you have to be careful. There's always high rewards means high risk, right? You have to weigh what your risk tolerance is. Alrighty, I'll let you guys go. Overall, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel. We'll see what happens. The war is still going, but the big news, of course, is oil. Where it's going to head to? When is this ban going to come? Right? So we'll have to wait and see. And I'm going to do more research on oil and historical stuff about oil, so then I can share with you guys later on. All right, guys. I'll see you guys in 3 hours, 11:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. Take care. Bye-bye.